think, one of the most common mistakes that I see is focusing too much on the technology. So, feeling that the story that the customers want to hear is about the technology evolution and the product that they're so passionate about. In reality, the customer wants to hear what it's going to do for them. So getting to that customer focus and understanding what that solution is going to be for this particular prospect. So that's a very common mistake, and I think it's because it's a very well-intentioned mistake. People, kind of come by that very honestly as entrepreneurs. They're very passionate about their product. It's also a bit of a habit that you need to break. So it's something that you need to kind of practice, thinking about the customer's view and the customer benefit as opposed to the product that your company is offering. Big part of the sales job is really research. So understanding more about the industry that your customer plays in, what the upcoming changes or legislative issues or anything like that affects the industry that your customer is playing in. So, the backdrop for their business. I think there's research that you can do about their business in particular. So annual reports for public companies and different pieces of information that exist in the public domain around that customer and their success or failure as a business at this point in time. So once you've done all of that research, then you have the ability to take that information and use it to frame your solution in a way that is meaningful to the customer. So using that information that you've gathered, you're able to create a compelling vision of how your product could help their situation. It's important to find the message and the analogy that's going to work best for your customer. So it's important for you to find a very clear and compelling message that means something to you as the customer. So the analogy that I use is that if your customer has a bleeding neck wound, then you have the bandage that resolves their bleeding neck wound. And it needs to be that direct of a correlation. So if they have an issue with their shipping department, then you have a very specific solution that's going to improve their shipping process. Or if they have a financial problem and you have a solution that kind of deals with that, a tool that perhaps helps them in that arena. So that compelling description of the solution that you can provide to their business problem is the value proposition that you want to include in your pitch deck. The best way to really build relationships with your customers is to capture feedback and act on it. So if customers see that they have an investment in your company by virtue of a voice that you're using to shape the future of your product direction, as an example, then that's a very positive element to have in your relationship, and it's a connection point between your customer and the product that they are using. So it's important to not waste that resource. So if they have feedback, it can be as simple as creating a survey that's deployed out to customers on a regular basis, or it could be just at contract signing or a year after contract signing, some point in time, or it could be quarterly, or it could be biannually, something like that. So then once you've got that feedback, it's important to kind of bring that in-house and make it a part of a formal process. So it could be a monthly customer feedback meeting that you sit down as a small group and go through. That can also be useful information to share with investors and the board to be able to show them the progression of the product and the voice that the customers are having in its development. I think that it's important to consider closing the contract is a point of departure. It's not a point of arrival. So you're beginning the journey of your relationship with this customer, and it's important to be thinking about it that way. So, if there are any issues that need to be clarified, any kind of, process or steps in the process that you don't feel are clear, investing the time to really take the customer through how things are going to happen and when shipments are going to occur, and make sure that everything is crystal clear so there are no misconceptions or anything that isn't going to meet their expectations. It's also important to make sure that it's a win-win for both parties. So, you often hear people talk about a sales deal where they, kind of had a very profitable deal and they didn't have to discount as much as they were expecting to. And so often in those situations, perhaps the customer doesn't feel that it's as much of a win as the salesperson does, and that won't be a very kind of happy journey going forward. So from a relationship selling standpoint, you really need to have clarity and make sure that the pricing is good for the customer and the value is good for the customer and that balance is there.